Relationship management strategy number 9. Don't avoid the inevitable. You and Marge work in the same shipping and receiving department. She gets under your skin. If you could press a button to ship her to another department, it would have been done 5 years ago. The problem is, no such button exists, and there's no chance of change. To add fuel to the fire, your boss has just given you and Marge a large project to work on together. She suggests meeting for lunch to talk about the next steps, and you generate a fast list of reasons why you can't make it. You have officially brushed Marge off. Now what? You're still at square one, that's what, and you still have the project and have to figure out how to work together. This is when relationship management skills are absolutely necessary, because though you might not choose a friendship with this person, you and Marge are now responsible for the same project. Here's a basic strategy to work with Marge. Do not avoid her or the situation. Accept it and make the choice to use your EQ skills to move forward with her. You'll need to watch your emotions and make decisions about how to manage those emotions. Since you're not in this alone, conjure up your social awareness skills to bring Marge into the fold and put yourself in her shoes. Meet with her to learn about what experience she has to offer and her preferences for working with you on this project. Observe her body language to see how she responds to you. Maybe you frustrate her just as much. This may hurt a little, but you may actually lay the groundwork for a working relationship. Next, share your preferences for managing the project and come to an agreement. You won't need to tell Marge you don't care for her. Instead, you can share that you'd prefer to work independently on separate parts of the project and meet along the way to ensure you're both on track. If Marge agrees, your work process has been hammered out. If she doesn't agree, it's time to apply more self-management and social awareness skills until you reach an agreement. If you get frustrated along the way, and chances are you will, ask yourself why and decide how to manage yourself. Loop back with Marge at your next meeting and remind yourselves about the goal of the project. At the end of the project, find a way to acknowledge what you both accomplished together. Relationship management strategy number 10. Acknowledge the other person's feelings. If you're known for being terrible with relationships, then this EQ strategy may be a great place to start getting better. Let's say that one morning you're pulling into your company's parking lot and you see your coworker, Jessie, holding back tears as she exits her car next to you. You ask her if she's okay, and she's not. You respond with, "Well, work will get it off your mind. See you inside." Then you wonder why she avoids you for the rest of the day. One key to managing relationships is leaning into your own discomfort and taking a moment to acknowledge, not stifle or change, other people's feelings. "I'm sorry you're upset. What can I do?" shows Jessie that if crying is what's going to help her, then you'd be willing to find her a tissue. Simple acts like this one acknowledge emotions without making them a big deal, marginalizing them, or dismissing them. Everyone has a right to experience feelings, even if you might not feel the same way. You don't have to agree with the way people are feeling, but you do have to recognize those feelings as legitimate and respect them. To help you validate someone's feelings, let's use Jessie's example. Using your social awareness skills, listen to her intently and summarize what you've heard back to her. Not only does it show great listening skills, but it also shows that you're adept at relationship management because you reached out to show you cared and took an interest in her. You'll end up with a better connection with a now calm Jessie, and all it took was some time to pay attention and notice her feelings. Relationship management strategy number 11. Compliment the person's emotions or situation. If you calmly phone your utility company to have an incorrect fee removed from your monthly bill, you would assume that the customer service representative would be helpful, friendly, and courteous with your request. Let's say you make the same phone call, but this time you're in a terrible mood. You're feeling testy, agitated, and annoyed at the error. You've been on hold for 10 minutes, which doesn't help. When the customer service rep talks to you, he can hear it in your voice. When he speaks, he sounds serious, as if he wants to resolve this quickly. You appreciate the professionalism and service, check this problem off your list, and move on. This customer service rep is skilled at picking up on cues and adapting to them to give fast, hassle-free service, which benefits the customer and the company as well. And his high EQ makes him promotable and marketable. What he did exactly is a strategy in relationship management that requires social awareness skills: listening, being present, putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, identifying where someone is emotionally, and choosing an appropriate and complementary response. This last piece, choosing a complementary response, doesn't require you to match or mirror emotions. It wouldn't make sense for the customer service rep to use the same impatient approach you did. That would infuriate you as the customer. Mirroring emotions would also make coworkers and friends recoil. The complementary response always says you recognize what the other person feels and you think it's important. To practice complementing emotions in your relationships, think about one or two emotional situations you've experienced where there wasn't a lot of gray area and there was at least one other person present. How did the other person respond to you? Did his or her response help or hurt your mood? Was the person able to complement your emotional state? Once you can answer these questions, it's your turn to focus on complementing other people's emotions in the situations they face. Give yourself a week or two to be at the ready for the people in your closest relationships, the people at work or home. Tell yourself your role is to notice their moods and to be there for your coworkers and family members in a helpful way. Whether you're excited or concerned for them, you will show that you are sensitive and care about what they are going through. Relationship management strategy number 12. When you care, show it. Here's a true story for aspiring high EQ managers across the globe. One morning, I groggily went up in the elevator of my office building to start yet another day. It had been a long night the day before. I'd stayed late so I could finish some projects for my boss. When I got to my cubicle, I saw that there was a fresh black and white cookie and a card that said, "Thanks for filling in the black and whites." It was from my boss. She was always such a busy person, juggling home and work. I was floored to see that she had found a few minutes to slip into a bakery on behalf of my sweet tooth and get into the office early to put a cookie on my chair. I just about cried at her thoughtfulness. Talk about the simple things that go a long way. That cookie motivated me to work even harder, and I did so happily and with fierce loyalty. We hear this story in many forms, but the strategy is always the same. There are people who do great work around you every day. When you care, show it. Don't hesitate or put it off until next week. Do something this week or even today. Things as simple as a greeting card or something else inexpensive yet meaningful that sums up how you feel are all you need to make an impact and strengthen a relationship. Relationship management strategy number 13. Explain your decisions, don't just make them. It's frightening to be in a place you're not familiar with and be completely in the dark. Case in point, have you ever planned to go camping but got to the site in the dark? It's hard to get your bearings. You're setting up a tent in the dark, and because you're in the wilderness, it's just eerily quiet and black. You go to bed with one eye open and hope for the best. The next day, you wake up tired and unzip your tent, and you're amazed at the beauty around you. Water, mountains, tree-lined trails, and cute little animals abound. There's nothing to be afraid of. You soon forget last night's anxieties, and you move about your day. What were you so worried about anyway? The only difference between these two scenarios is light. It's the same place, and you're with the same people with the same gear. This is what people experience when decisions are made for them. When you're in the dark, intentionally or not, about upcoming layoffs, contract negotiations, and the like, you may as well be setting up camp in blackness. If there are layoffs that increase your workload or change your shift, you'll find out when the pink slips are handed out. If taxes are changed, you'll see it on your paycheck. No recourse, no trial period. It's a done deal. That's a tough pill to swallow because we're not children or dependents, we're adults. To support an idea, we need to understand why the decision was made. When you use your EQ to manage relationships, keep this in mind. Instead of making a change and expecting others to just accept it, take time to explain the why behind the decision, including alternatives, and why the final choice made the most sense. If you can ask for ideas and input ahead of time, it's even better. Finally, acknowledge how the decision will affect everyone. People appreciate this transparency and openness, even though the decision may negatively impact them. Transparency and openness also make people feel like they are trusted, respected, and connected to their organization instead of being told what to do and kept in the dark. If you have a habit of making decisions quickly and independently, you're likely very personally competent. Though old habits die hard, since they're ingrained in your brain's wiring, it's time to rewire and add social competence to your decision-making repertoire. First, you'll likely have to spot your upcoming decisions. Take out your calendar to look over the next 3 months to identify which decisions will need to be made by then. Now work backward and see who will be impacted by these decisions. Make a complete list of who will be affected by each decision and plan on when and where you will talk together about each, including the details that explain why and how each decision will be made. If you have to invite people to a special meeting for just this purpose, so be it. As you plan your agenda and your words, use your social awareness skills to put yourself in the shoes of others, so you can speak to your audience before and after you make the decision as they would expect and hope.